Today I'm going to talk about how some of the new Zurich improvements for our client interaction table have given us additional timing information about network response time. So this only works for Next Experience, but I'm going to show you what we mean here. So right now, this is the system working as it should. This is about how long it takes to open an HR case, and click one of the pop-ups. Now I'm going to artificially introduce network timings by using the browser developer tools and setting some throttling here. So I've got a setting that I use called sluggish, and now when I go in and open one of these, you can see it takes significantly longer for the tab to appear, and I click a reference icon. The pop-up takes significantly longer to populate. All right, so I'm going to turn off my network throttling and show you what's going on, some of the new features available in Zurich. So we're going to look at the client interaction table, which you can access through the menu through client interactions and system logs, or you can go directly to the table, sysclient interaction.filter. So I'll load that with just the filter and then build my menu. Sometimes these larger log tables, you don't want to load the entire table on the first go, so you can just do the filter and then build your more specific time-based queries, just the last 15 minutes. And the first thing I want to call our attention to is the network latency metric. So this one's been in the product for a little while, but hasn't really been publicized, and they made a bunch of improvements in Zurich to it for accuracy, but this is a round trip time of a static asset, and it's a ping, so it's unrelated to these interactions. It's cached on the client, cached on the server. So for each user, this ping is going to occur, fetching this infinitesimally small static resource, cache that value for 5 minutes, and then update it, try and fetch that same resource again 5 minutes later. And for each interaction, you'll see the same value. That's because it's the cached value. So it can kind of help if you want to understand some bigger picture trends in your custom that are impacting your customers. You know, are certain segments of your network slower than others? That kind of analysis. But it doesn't really help if you're trying to troubleshoot a particular slow interaction. So we're going to look at this 14-second one here. All right, total UI time, 14 seconds. But the actual transaction processing time, which is the sum of all the transactions, how long they took on a thread in the semaphore when they were running, is less than 2 seconds. So that's the first thing that makes me suspicious here. Component interactable, which means the first time they were able to interact with something on the page is about 3.4 seconds. Content download size is pretty small, it's only 50K. And content download time is very high, 13. So small download size, high download time, starting to get very suspicious about the network. The next piece is these list here of client transaction metrics. It's a little difficult to understand what this is. These are the epoch timestamps of when a particular transaction began. Duration is how long it took according to the client side, according to the browser or mobile phone or whatever you're using to access ServiceNow, according to that device, how long did the transaction take from the very first fetch request until the time the last byte arrived back in the user agent, browser, mobile device, whatever. And this value here is the first 12 characters of the sysID of the related transaction. So you can pop that in here and find out information about that particular transaction. So each interaction is comprised of multiple small transactions. Not all of them get captured, but we try and capture all the important ones and connect them and show them to you in ServiceNow. And you can see here, there's a new field populated in Zurich called client network. And the field's been there for years and years, but it's now being populated in Zurich for your transactions that are related to a client interaction. So you can see this client interaction ID. That's the same ID back on our right here. So, and the way that we are getting client network time, it's actually an estimated value. We take the response time, which is the end-to-end server time, including transaction processing and wait time. We subtract that from the duration I showed you earlier, and we end up with client network time. So it's a derived value, it's a heuristic, an approximation, but it's highly accurate. So very reliable. I've not seen it be off by very much at all. So it gives you a very good picture. And we've implemented this across most of Next Experience. So if you're in a workspace, if you're in a UI browser, a UI builder page that you've built, a portal experience, one of the experience home pages, all of those UIs support this new framework. Things like Visual Task Board and Service Portal, responsive dashboards, those older UIs, they don't support this network timing. The only other UI that supports a type of network timing that leverages the same field is the core UI. So the like incident.do, incident list.do, the piece of ServiceNow UI that's been around for about 20 years. But if you run into a page that doesn't support client network time, you can still get some information about it that's helpful to ServiceNow by looking at this browser developer tools that I showed earlier. And so if you want to look at, say, for example, one of these GraphQLs, you can look in the timing tab and see some of the information. This might show you that connection start is stalled for an excessive time. In this case, it's not. Or you might see content download time being very high. It's not in this case. It indicates that it's waiting for the server, but sometimes this lies. And so the way you can check that, it's the way ServiceNow would check it, and you can do it yourself as well, is you go to the headers tab, look at the X transaction ID, and guess what this is? It's the same thing as before, the first 12 characters of the sysID of the transaction. So let's go back to syslog transaction. You can get to that through the transactions all users module, or you can type in the name of the table, which is syslog_transaction, and you could do the dot filter like I did before, just show you what you wanted to see, and we'll pop in sysID, starts with, oh, this one's not there, or, there it is, okay. All right, and you can see here transaction processing time was only 23 milliseconds. It still could be wait time, but let's check it. Response time, only 23 seconds. Response time, remember, includes all the wait time on the server. So this is really the end-to-end time in ServiceNow's application layer, including all the upstream time on the database and all those things. And 23 milliseconds is very short. Almost all the time was client network time. All right, hopefully this is helpful for you in troubleshooting your issues, and if you will clue you in, maybe if you see a network performance issue in the future. Thank you.